Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Living in Hawaii. I am Misty Padilla, born and raised here in Kailua Kona on the island of Hawaii, and I have the privilege of having Sasha and Judy join me this morning. Sasha, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us where you're from.
Aloha, everybody. My name is Sasha. I'm with eXp Realty here on Oahu, and born and raised out of Kailua, but live kind of all over the island, and I'm out of Kapolei now.
Beautiful, welcome. How about for you, Judy? Go ahead and introduce yourself and share a little bit of something about you as well.
Aloha, I'm Judy Weber, and I live in Kealakekua on the Big Island, and I have lived here for only 1 year. I moved here from Colorado a year ago.
So beautiful. And we do need to go ahead and make a note that is super important. You joined us by way of livinginhawaii.com. Is that correct?
I did. I went through the program. I watched videos. I learned all I could before I got here.
That is so awesome. So thank you again for joining us. You're going to be a true testament of how this works. And for those of you tuning in, visit livinginhawaii.com for more information. We are happy to be your source and guidance in island life here. So let's take it away today. I am here in Kailua Kona at the Hungry Honu Cafe, a cafe that I just stumbled upon, and it's been here for 2 years now. Mind you, I think I know where everything is here, right? Being born and raised on this island, I never knew where this cafe was. And today our topic is going to be about working remotely in Hawaii. And this is a perfect example of how we work remotely. I've got music going on, strong Wi-Fi, embracing all the elements from work trucks and landscaping and blowers and all the things. But that's not going to stop us from moving forward, right? And doing all the things that we are called to do. So Sasha, if you can go ahead and share with us a little bit, just very briefly on what your thoughts are on working remotely, particularly on the island of Oahu and where you're located.
Yeah, actually, I think the world is kind of all working remotely, and being here in Hawaii, people think that we're in grass shacks still, but we're not. We got Wi-Fi. You can go anywhere and link up to, there's connections everywhere you go pretty much. And then, we got like the connection on your phone where you can hit your hotspot and stuff. So it's pretty awesome. There's only a couple of dead spots on the island that I kind of find I have a hard time. And you know what's really funny? One of those spots is in Kahala, which is like this affluent neighborhood. And for some reason, I can't get no Wi-Fi. Like they don't want to share or something. I don't know what's going on. The other spot would probably be like deep in the valleys or something like that if you're trying to hike, But even there, we still got connection. Like you still can call for help if you get lost or break your foot or something. But yeah, Wi-Fi, Oahu, I think because we're probably the most advanced of all the islands, I guess you could say the most developed. I think our Wi-Fi connection is pretty strong most of the island.
And because it is the most populated as well, when you've got so many people on the same network, things tend to slow down is what
Maybe that's why. Yeah.
How about for you, Judy, in Kealakekua? How's everything going on in Kealakekua for you as far as working remotely goes?
Good. It's really good. I have Spectrum for my TV and my Wi-Fi, and it's only affected me, I think, one time when I had a meeting to do and I wasn't able to, but Spectrum notified us the day ahead of time. So it's not like it's spotty or random when I don't have Wi-Fi. What I have on my short list is to check a couple of the cafes near me and see if they have Wi-Fi, so that if that ever does happen, I can just run down the street, because there's plenty of fun little cute places to go, like Misty said.
Right. And they have the greatest Wi-Fi, believe it or not. You got to embrace all the elements, that are around it, but they've got great Wi-Fi. For us here in Kailua Kona, yes, Spectrum is typically our go-to. We do have limited resources, as you'll notice in a lot of our shows, and that's why we get to share a little bit about island life, is we embrace all the elements, regardless of what our limitations are. I believe we just make it work, right? No matter what, we just find ways to make it work. Spectrum and Hawaiian Telcom, I believe, is our go-tos here. But now, of course, we've got Starlink coming into the mix of everything. It's just slowly evolving. And with that, we got to continue to make changes. If not, we're going to just get left behind, right? You agree with me there?
Totally. And I have somebody in Waipio Valley that they're selling something down there, and they're like, we have Starlink. So yeah, those things are pretty awesome.
That's for sure. And that is definitely, as you mentioned, Sasha, deep in the valleys, right? There's spotty receptions here and there. And that's what we have here on the islands is we have valleys from Mauka to Makai, from the mountains to the sea. Hawaii, our connection is very limited, even for those that go way out for fishing in the ocean, so we make it work. Spectrum for me is my go-to, and it works for the most part.
Mine too.
And
Yeah.
I believe, what I noticed during COVID, when more of the people, in the areas all jumped online more, the network started to slow. And so you kind of know where your spots are, right? We also work on the go all the time. So we know more or less when to jump on the phone. If you're going to pass a bad spot, you're like, okay, hold the conversation off for a moment. Let me get through this
tunnel.
Going through the tunnel, hold your breath. I'll call you back.
I didn't hang up on you.
That's so true.
Spectrum is the best one here too, I think.
Same for us. Hawaiian Telcom, more for commercials. Spectrum we use for residential and some commercial as well. And then Hawaiian Telcom definitely tries to broaden their clientele by way of commercial business. And then of course, Starlink, that definitely works in the valleys for us here. I have friends that do live in YPO Valley and they do run off of Starlink, which is pretty amazing. Judy, what do you use in Kealakekua? Are you on Spectrum as well?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have Spectrum and it works great.
Perfect. That was my next question.
Yeah, I think because they installed all the 5G towers and stuff. Yeah, so like I was on Verizon for a long time. And then when we went around the island and we ended up in like Kahana Valley, which is sort of like on the east side of the island, there's a dead spot over there too. But Spectrum worked. And I was just like, we're switching. Like because like the Spectrum is just, it catches most places here.
Right.
And you can get your home Wi-Fi and your cable, like cable, but like they've got packages together.
And that's what we do as well for our residential Spectrum, just for our internet only. We don't do TV because we're just never home to watch TV. And again, everything is just right here at your fingertips.
Everything's streamed. Yeah.
Okay. And for home, I want to say just for our Wi-Fi, we're looking at probably around $75 a month just for Spectrum Wi-Fi. But then we also have our gym and in commercial space. Commercial service is more expensive. So for our gym, for services, I want to say we're already like in the 200s. And that's for strong Wi-Fi and a little bit of cable. So keep in mind as well that commercial versus residential, you're going to see an elevation, in pricing as well. Do you folks experience that as well on Oahu?
I can't really talk on that because I've never tried to connect a commercial account. I don't have any businesses for that. But I'm thinking that it probably should be more expensive and stronger because you got more people jumping on and coming to drink your coffee so they can use your free Wi-Fi, right? So like,
and that's, I've noticed, speaking of drinking coffee and having free Wi-Fi, I've noticed significantly that it just draws more business to establishments when you do have Wi-Fi. Agree with me?
Because I'll have meetings at places that like, we can jump on and like look at something while we're talking, It's actually pretty important. It's very important. Like if your business doesn't offer Wi-Fi, I think you're kind of like in the Stone Ages.
I totally agree.
And Spectrum, I know here for just residential, we have our phones, like 3 phones, not landline, but 3 cell phones and our Wi-Fi, and it's like I think like 150 or something like that. It's not that much. It's pretty good.
Now that you just pinpointed on that, I'm going to target that. So you mentioned that your cell phone plans are also with Spectrum, correct?
Yeah, we moved it over.
Oahu.
Yeah.
So a little bit from my personal experience, and I just feel like I've bounced around, when it comes to networking, because we run multiple businesses besides real estate. We have our nonprofit youth foundation, and then also security, my husband's security business and renovation. Like we're always on the go, and we need just the utmost maximum of connection at all times in order to run business. Yeah. And Spectrum just did not work for us when it comes to the mobile plans. But we were also told that Spectrum runs off of the Verizon towers, and Verizon is the number one here on the island, and it is known to be the best, but it's also the most pricey. Like it is so expensive.
Yeah, Verizon was expensive here too.
It's our business, and of course it's a write-off, yes, but we have to have that in order for our business to flow. And so I switched. I used to with Spectrum. I tried it out. Although they do use Verizon towers, I believe that we were told the Verizon customers, they have the first priority in data, and then Spectrum kind of gets like the leftovers. So I don't know. That's just things that just came through, from the pipeline. And so I don't use the Spectrum mobile mobile service, but Spectrum is, again, my go-to for residential and commercial. But Verizon is my go-to for my hotspot. And that seems to work significantly well here on Hawaii Island. I can't speak for Oahu. How about for you? Judy, you have any preference, or what do you utilize for your hotspot when you do work remotely?
So I haven't done much with a hotspot, but I do. My cell phone is Verizon just because I had that before. And when I moved here, it worked at the house I bought. So I just kept Verizon. But like you guys said, it's the cost is out of control for Verizon. It just seems like every bill it's higher. And I think I didn't buy anything. How did it go up? So yeah, I have
because your island is so big.
I don't know.
That it has like you got way more to cover. So like, I don't know, the cost spreads out maybe for that.
It was the same in Colorado. It
Oh.
was out of control, expensive, you know, almost $300 for my family to have what they all desire to have. And then
that's what it was for us too. But that's why we switched to Spectrum, because we got all 3 phones for like $150 and bundled it with the Wi-Fi. So yeah, I think it's Big Island, you guys just, everything's more expensive on the Big Island.
And we feel everything's more pricey on Oahu, you know. So I feel it's just the price we pay to be in paradise.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, I want to say, you know, we kind of we have to alter and make sacrifices on habits. You know, it's wherever you can connect to Wi-Fi, connect to Wi-Fi. You know, save data, connect to Wi-Fi, and just make better habits, I guess, about it. Because for one thing, our population is not going to stop growing. We're going to continue to grow. Everyone will continue to get busy. You know, it just doesn't seem like life is slowing down, which brings me to the next topic is, you know, how to find work and life balance. I just believe, and again, speaking from my personal experiences, we tend to get more busy or productive now that we can work remotely, is we're always working, or I'm always working on the go, like 24/7 nonstop, no boundaries. And but you know what? I must say I'm blessed and I love it like that. And thank God, you know, my husband is busy too, you know, but yes, you do need to find the balance where you can have your family time. You know, you're between husband, wife, your children. You have to have mental breaks. If not, you're just gonna go insane, right? Like, I don't know, Sasha, help me, because I'm the worst one to be speaking about this, because as long as I have my computer phone, I will just work, and I'm team no sleep.
I'm a little bit of a workaholic myself, so I don't know if I'm the best to be backing you up on this, but you know, that's why we can talk about this subject, is working remotely, because everywhere we go, we're working, right? And there's always opportunity. What I love about it is we can like lay on the beach and take a call, or sit by a pool at a hotel if we want to do a little staycation or something. And you know, there's like,
and have good Wi-Fi and connection.
Yeah, or like go to Misty's gym and you can still, you know, do something in between your reps or whatever, you know, like we are so lucky. And I think because we are located where we are here in Hawaii, we're like hours behind the mainland. And so our work schedule is a little bit like not normal 9 to 5. We start at like 3 a.m. sometimes and then run later, just because we're talking to our teams on the East Coast or, you know, something like that. I mean, yeah, Misty, we're always working. We always got our gadgets in our hands. And I appreciate dead spots every once in a while as an excuse to stay off of this for a minute and just like, you know, look at the waterfalls and the trees and the beach. Maybe jump in the ocean and actually swim in it, you know, rather than just, you know, I used to work in Waikiki. I think everybody in Oahu, if you grew up here and you're living here, you're going to work in Waikiki at some point. And I remember sitting, like I did massage in a previous life. Okay. And for life, I'm never going to stop, but I would sit by the massage table down by the pool at the cabana, and I would watch people come on their vacations and sit at the pool with their laptops all day, and they wouldn't get off of them. And I'd just be thinking to myself, like, you're in paradise, you're on vacation. Like, I almost wanted to just toss their laptops in the pool so they could enjoy it, you know. But that just goes to show we've got really great connection wherever you go, and you can work. You don't have to be in an office. Our company doesn't even have an office that we go to. Everything's remote. So it's just the way of the times, you know.
So true. And like I said, you know, from the beginning, is we just embrace it. You know, we embrace what we have, and you only allow yourself to do what you do by your choice. You know, you choose to be busy busy, productive, you name it, whatever it is, then that's on you. You choose to have boundaries, which I am trying to work on, is work time, family time, all the things. But, to be honest, is all of our work that we do, they're all things we love. Like, I absolutely love my job as a realtor. Absolutely.
Me too.
As a realtor, professional entertainment from Hula and entertainment, security, renovations, our gym, we love doing that. And we've just incorporate our children to be in that as well. And the nice thing is, we do have breaks, we do take time, and we do have quality time that we take, vacations on. And that's super, super important. But even on vacation, we're always working, but then, hey, that's where the write-off comes. Write all your vacations off because you're always working on your
We're on permanent write-off, okay? Every day is a write-off.
Right. I want to pick on Judy just for a moment here. Being that you found us by way of livinginhawaii.com, how do you feel your life transitioning from the mainland to Hawaii and being able to work remotely? Has that significantly changed? Do you find yourself mellow and calm and like really trying to live your best life in paradise? Or are you crazy like Sasha and I, always working on the go?
No, I think when I first got here, I thought, why should I have to work? I'm in Hawaii. Because whenever I came here on vacation, but now that I live here and reality set in, I do schedule my hours that I'm going to work in the day. And I make sure I sit down with my computer and actually work. And then when, like, say it's noon or 11 o'clock, I just shut it and I'm done. And you got to get outside, because as soon as you get outside, you remember like where you are and how invigorating it is to live here and the beauty and the people. And if you're sitting in your house or wherever you're working, you forget, you're just work, and you get out there and you get so refreshed. So one thing I want to add too is what I learned through living in Hawaii was Peter Kay taught us that when we're thinking about moving to Hawaii, we should do an unvacation. So we should come to a place we're thinking maybe a neighborhood we're looking at and do like an Airbnb in that neighborhood and bring your work and just don't be on vacation. And see if, do you love that neighborhood? Smile at the neighbors, get them to wave at you. Maybe they're going to chat with you and just kind of find out where you want to be. So I came for a couple unvacations and I brought my daughter one time and she was, I think, 7 at the time. So you're a little kid, you really want them to have their normal sleep hours and things. But I was working on Colorado time, which like Sasha said earlier, it was 3 a.m. and we're in a little 1-bedroom Ohana and I'm trying to not wake her up. So I literally took my laptop into the bathroom and shut the door so I could have the light on. And I was doing my meetings in the bathroom with the virtual background behind me at 3 a.m.
You're officially local, Judy. Official.
You do what you gotta do. But then by 11 or 12, I had worked 8 hours and I'm like, let's go. So she just had to chill till noon every day and then we go to the beach. It's ideal. I'm just saying, I love it.
You're absolutely right. And again, we just choose our heart. We live in paradise. We do have the price to pay to live in paradise. But at the same time, it makes our jobs so much easier when you can work remotely. And then it's just basically up to you to draw the boundaries and be able to live life abundantly and not be so attached to your phone, which again, I am totally that still. My phone, my husband's phone, completely attached at our hips because of the work that we do. And then I try to get my children to engage. And then of course, we're not setting that example because we're always on the phone. And then it just becomes convenient. It's like, okay, keep the kids busy and quiet, go on your phone, go do this, go do whatever you want. Just let me work for a little bit, and that's just kind of how it's become. And it is nice to have that disconnect, at times. So it could be a blessing and it could just totally rob you of your life having to work remote. You just got to embrace it and choose your heart, right?
Yeah, I think we've got Judy goals. Be done by noon.
You gotta go live in Kalakikua.
I need to do an unvacation. Maybe I'll get to like not working.
Yeah, come stay at my house. Do an unvacation at my house.
Well, and then too, like when I really think about it as well, is all of our vacations are always working vacations. I don't think I've ever, maybe in my life, never taken a true vacation where I can actually disconnect from my phone, do not call me, do not disturb. Like, I think that would give me anxiety.
I think so
Just trying to
too.
be
I think
disconnected.
the last time I did that was maybe like as a kid, like with my parents taking us on family trips, and there wasn't cell phones back then. I think that's probably the last time I had like a real like vacation, go on a trip and like do the things and like enjoy the time.
Right.
But yeah, Misty, I think you're right. Like I'm trying to think back in like the last 5 to 10 years, most of the trips that I hopped on a plane for was for work.
Always working. And again,
Yeah.
that's where the blessing or the curse comes in, right? With being able to work remotely and have access. That's just the way the world
Yeah.
has conformed. And then going back to like my childhood, we never had all these things. We lived life. And then
Yeah.
when you, now I'm going to be dating myself, is the Jetsons. Day, like when we would watch the Jetsons, I would be like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I want a Rosie. I want this. I want. And now we're like actually in it, you guys. Like
We got it.
literally the world
Yeah.
is that way. How
Yep.
crazy is that,
I
Yes.
right?
have a Rosie now, the little vacuum that goes around the house.
It's called
It's
Roomba.
bizarre.
Yeah.
And then like even when you everywhere you go, you look at the stores, you know, they're all being replaced by self-checkouts, you know, and then now there's robots. At
Yeah.
you know, big conventions, you've got security robots. Like, it's bizarre. I just think it's
It
so
is.
crazy.
And they talk to you.
Right, it's scary, but
They're like interacting like a human.
But
Yeah.
you know, I must say though, it is nice that when you can go to a place I do know of, and I'm going to shout them out because it is one cafe that you cannot use your electronics, and it's Tealicious. It's right in Kailua, right below Pottery Terrace and Jackie Ray's. It's a beautiful tea shop. I just love it. But you can't do your electronics in there. No computer. They just ask you to just go and be still. They have books. They have a journal that when you go in, you sit. They have books and pens on all the tables, and you just write what you're grateful for in that book. And I just love it. It's just implemented where you just go, be still, talk story, enjoy your tea. You know, I think that's just such a beautiful thing, because now these days you go everywhere, even in the restaurants. I swear, everybody around you, they're all on their phones. They're everybody, the kids, the parents, like nobody talks to each other anymore.
Yeah.
They just send you a text.
Yeah, that's such a cool idea. Like a
It totally is.
disconnection, like, and people are willing to do it. Like, you know what I mean? We need
Right.
it. I think it's medicinal, like to just disconnect from these gadgets, you know?
And even now, like when we travel on the plane, right? Before you couldn't connect, you can't have Wi-Fi. Now the planes are offering Wi-Fi services on the plane.
Yeah, you don't have to be in airplane mode.
Right. It's crazy, but again, we just embrace it all, right?
I think we're really lucky because we've got the most beautiful weather and we can like go work remotely wherever you want to be, you know, a coffee shop, a beach, a park, you know, in your car, in your bathroom, like wherever, you know, like I think we're
Literally.
in this Jackson age of technology that we can have everything so instant. And I think it's actually part of my problem too, is like I expect things to be pretty instant now. Like it's not Google quick. How come, you know?
Absolutely right. And then we start freaking out, right? If people don't respond right away, or you can't get everything quick at your fingertips, like then we start to freak
I'm like,
out.
you still haven't responded. Like it's been 5 minutes, you know? Like
So this here in itself, I think it'll be a nice where we can assess, you know, embracing all the things that we have access to, but at the same time being able to enjoy quality of life and not necessarily allow the remote or having to work remotely take over your life, right? Make time to be still, listen, talk story to one another, and just enjoy quality of life as opposed to always being connected to Wi-Fi and to all the systems. Again, I'm speaking to myself here, so don't judge me.
no, we're three in one right here. I know. For sure.
Well, thank you, ladies, for sharing that. You know, before wrapping up, any final thoughts, Judy, that you'd like to share with our amazing viewers?
I just want to encourage people that think that they can't come visit, or they can't move here, or they can't work remote. Just try little bits, you know, practice, take an unvacation, and maybe schedule an hour where you don't touch your phone and your computer. 1 hour. Go
I
to
can do that.
delicious.
I can do 1 hour. Can you, Sasha?
I think you just proposed a challenge, Judy. Like
And sleeping doesn't
okay,
count.
I'm gonna schedule the hour from when I lay down and go to bed.
And even then, though, I find myself, you hear the dinging going on. I don't go on sleep mode. You hear the ding and you're like wanting to, respond and react. That's so
I
not
have such a
healthy.
bad habit of rolling over and like looking at my phone. Like I'm not gonna, and I have a very good habit of not responding, but I still look at it like that's some kind of an addiction.
We're gonna work on this, Sasha.
We're gonna work on this. 1 hour a day. I'm gonna like disconnect on purpose.
Right? 1 hour a day.
And not in bed at night, like an hour during the day.
Yeah, for real. Like
It
just
doesn't count.
Yep. Go water my yard and
Go
dig it
outside.
Yes.
Beautiful.
You'll never go back in.
Pet my dog.
No, well, thank you, ladies. I appreciated this time with you. And for those of
Thank
you
you,
watching,
Misty.
thanks for tuning in. Please continue to follow livinginhawaii.com and don't hesitate to reach out to us. We want to be your local experts that assist you in the transitioning. Should you ever decide to call Hawaii your home, there's a lot of things that you need to embrace to truly become a part of our land and our Aina, our special place that we call home. And I just always want to encourage everyone just to continue living aloha every day and everywhere you go. Thank you, ladies. Appreciate
Thank you.
you. Have a great day.
Bye. Aloha.
Bye.
Bye.